There we go. Doing some crappie fishing in this pond here. Fishing with a casting bubble rig, a 4-pound leader, onto a little octopus hook and a tail hooked minnow. How'd it get all tangled up there? Nice little crappie. 9.5. Skinny though. Boy, this guy hit it right when it touched the water. Looks like another crappie. See him rolling around. Seems like they're pretty hot on this. I have this bubble set up so it slides up the main line, so they can take it without feeling a whole lot of tension. Sort of like a, well, exactly like a weighted adjustable buoyancy slip float. You can vary how much water you put in it. See how the bubble's just moving a little bit left? Something's playing with it instantly. Yep, another crappie. Now that's the advantage of having the line slip through. You just see the bubble just move a little bit. There's not a whole lot of resistance like there would be if I used a typical bobber. The slip bobber's where it's at. Really lets a fish take the minnow for a moment. Cool. Cookie cutter keeper range ones. These are all legal crappies around here. Definitely all 9+. I'm just letting them go though. They've really been hitting it fast out in the middle there. Yeah, see? Already got a hit. I hooked this one on the dorsal fin. Forgetting how to crappie fish. I remember back in the day that worked better. It's been a while though. Haven't really fished for these guys since spring. These are getting in the way every time. There you go, another decent one. Sweet. Another 9.5. Nice looking fish. Oh, hit right away again. They're stacked pretty good. Right hovering above the deep spot. Generally when you fish a crappie, you fish over their head and they come up for it. They're pretty well stacked in the deep. It's mid-fall right now, mid-October. I was getting a couple shallow though. They should be a little bit scattered. I fish for them on big lakes this time of year. I get them in the deep and in the deep shallow transition. A lot of them move more shallow, just like other panfish do. Tell when you got a fish because the bubble usually slides left or right. Just a little bit of resistance from the line sliding through it. A lot of times the take will be subtle. And these guys seem so stacked. Another skinny one, pushing 10. Yeah, something's taking it. Another crappie. wonder if there's any big ones stacked in here. There might be one. It's a little better. That one's probably 11-ish. Nice solid crappie. For up north. Yeah, that's one taking it. Just fishing these guys with 4-pound main line so I can cast as far as I need to. This is just a small pond, so I could walk it around, but with 4-pound I probably don't have to. I'll probably hit the whole pond from right where I'm standing. There's another alright one. And they got great colors on them. All iridescent purple and blue and stuff. I might do some other pan fishing after this gets real slow. I run out of minnows. I'll probably get slow before I run out of minnows. They're getting better by a little bit. That one's probably at least 11 and a half, maybe 12, somewhere around there. These guys have really thin mouths, so as best as I can remember, I just try to lift up on them real gently for a hook set. That's all you need. With a real hard hook set, you risk ripping it out of their mouth. Sweet. A lot of them are around 10. Around 9.5, 10, you know. I switched to a number 6 Aberdeen, so I lost some fish on the octopus. Sometimes they work great, depending on the type of fish, and sometimes they work pretty poorly, the octopus hooks, and I always have a hard time remembering which ones they work well for. It's usually like a long period of time between each time I use them. There's another one. That bubble will only really offer resistance as long as you have tension on the line. And you can use that to your advantage for whatever type of fish you're fishing for if you want them to have some slack for a moment. Maybe you're using a bigger bait or something, I don't know. It depends what you're using it for, but situations where you might want them to take it for just a moment first. You can do that with these bubbles just like you can do it with a slip sinker rig. All solid crappies. None undersized so far, that's for sure. All of them have been 9+. There we go. This was a real subtle take. It was drifting in the wind, and it just stopped drifting. It didn't bob or anything. It's usually, I mean, anything like that, anything going against what it should do, is a sign of a fish. It's just a subtle take. That's another decent one. Cool. Other one, probably 11 and a half or so. Nice crappie from up north. Solid one. See it drifting. Slowly left there. Yep. Another one. It's funny, you just see him spiraling through the water, almost like rock bass. Barely fighting. I got this casting bubble rig set up so the main line's connected to the leader with a tiny barrel swivel, and that's what keeps the bubble from sliding down to the hook. Same way I tie most of my slip sinker rig variants. Right there. Still all 4-pound test though, the leader and the main line. That's probably the smallest one yet, he's probably barely 9. That bubble's zooming. There's gotta be a fish there. It'll drift a little bit from the wind, but not that fast. You know, anything that just seems different is worth setting the hook on. All these crappies are hitting almost dead minnows. That's the way it should be. That's a hot springer fall bite. When they're crushing just anything that falls in their face. Yeah, cookie cutter 9 to 10s mostly. It's probably closer to 9. Quite a few. This guy wasn't quite as deep as the others. Man, haven't been here very long. Starting to get into the smaller ones though. It's usually a sign that they're thinning out. You start getting the little guys. This guy still might barely be legal. He's around legal line, you know, around 9. Still just letting them all go though. Cool. I set up a 3-way slip sinker rig with a night crawler off to the side on my backup rod. I broke my other good rod. I got something on it. The hard part's getting through the weeds. Wonder what it is. Another crappie on a night crawler. That's sick. That's pretty neat. Had that happen before, but not very often. You know, a couple times a year. There's another one. My casting bubble minnow rig. It's going pretty well. Barely fighting jeepers. Man. Another nice looking one. They're really not very tall in the back, but respectable length, I guess, for around here. Probably 10.5, 11. Another one on. An awesome. Solid number. I haven't seen these kind of numbers in this pond yet. But I've always just caught and released them in here. So it's a real small body of water. If I might be able to limit out today. The limit's 25 if I keep at it, but I wouldn't want to take a limit out of here. The population's too small. Yeah, that's more like it. He has a taller back on him. Looks a lot better. This guy took it so subtly, I didn't even notice him. He was drifting with the wind, it seemed like, without moving the bubble at all. And the bubble's pretty sensitive. I mean, you can change how sensitive it is by adding or removing water, but interesting. I just went to check the rod and he was there. Yeah, another quality one. Sweet. It's one of the better ones. 11 or a little over. I wanted to use that little octopus hook at first because it's a smaller profile hook and these are pressured fish, but this little Aberdeen's working a lot better. It doesn't seem to be slowing the bite down any, and hooked in the back, it's a back of the minnow, it's a near perfect hookup rate. So I'm liking it more, a lot more. Another smaller guy. Still probably a legal one though, barely. 9, 9.25. Right up shallow here. I'm getting some alright fish, but no slabs. I was really hoping for a 14 this trip. Didn't expect these kind of numbers though in just a few minutes. Especially from such high pressured fish. Weird, that's the spot I hit most right there. There's like a tree in the water right there. Underwater. It broke off last year, but for structure, I know that's a deep spot, but I just cast it back in and this guy hit right away. Weird how they're just lumping in like a rock bass. Or just spiraling, a lot of them. Yeah. Cookie cutter, pretty much all between 9 and 11, mostly. Right up here where it's more shallow. That looks like a nicer one. He was right in like a few feet of water. Get up here. Here, decent one. Come on. Oh, come on. There we go. That might be the best one of the day. Yeah, definitely. That's a more solid one. That's at least 12. 12 to 13, probably. Nice solid crappie. Right up in the shallows there. They spread out this time of year because the water gets colder. A lot of types of panfish do. Perch and bluegill and pumpkin seeds also do. Hard to tell the takes now because it's so windy. It's also cold and raining all of a sudden. But that ain't really a big deal. This guy was tangled up in the weeds here. Trying to cut him. There we go. Got him loose. The last one was around 12 and a half. I measured him real quick. There's another solid one. Usually the big ones don't come last. They're bigger. I mean, these aren't big ones, but they're the best ones so far this trip. It's another one, he's probably like 11 3/4. Solid crappie. Right around there. The bubble was dancing there just in the smallest way. I could barely see it, but it was just wiggling just a little bit, and it shouldn't have been. So it was another fish. Real subtle takes. Using a slip bubble like this sometimes. Another one between 9 and 10. Looks like I'm gonna run out of minnows here right as it begins to slow down. It's a pretty sweet deal. I asked for much better than that. Another respectable one, I suppose. That one, at least 9.5. Alright. Move spots. Probably got like an hour of daylight left by the time I got here. I'm just gonna fish for a few bluegill and pumpkinseed sunfish. That's the plan at least. Still got the same rigs. This one, casting bubble rig. Same as before, except I put a worm on it instead of a minnow. So I'm just drifting a worm with the gentle breeze here over the, between shallow and deep transition. And the other one I got a 3-way slip sinker rig on. A solid gill. I'm still just going to catch and release everything. About average. Around 8.5. Pulled one out of the deeper area. A lot of times bluegills and pumpkin seeds, most falls they'll push shallow and then push back out. They'll push shallow in early fall and then start to move back out. So I'm fishing the transition between deep and shallow, and also the deep mostly. Panfish in general spread out this time of year. Using the same method on all these panfish today, pretty much, more or less, for location. It's a nice solid pumpkin seed, real round, good looking fish. Bubbles move in weird directions. Yeah, I thought so. Probably only going to get a few this evening before sunset here. Not a lot of time left. Also, I hit this spot really hard yesterday. And they'll move around day to day, but don't expect it to be as good as yesterday. And yesterday was just a typical day for numbers. It was 20 something. Pretty standard fraction of a day fall bite for sunfish for me. It's usually not nearly as good as spawn, which can be hundreds in a day easily. Another pumpkin seed, cool. Looks like a pure pumpkin seed. It's a nice big red mark on the ear there. I gotta hand line this guy down. I got a knot in my line way down towards the reel. And it cut. Looks like I got something though. Going sideways. Something really small. little bit of a hard time picking my words right tonight. Saying stuff a little bit wrong. Yeah, it's another little pumpkin seed. Cool. Or maybe it's a hybrid. I'll pick up this mess in a moment here. Yeah, just a smaller guy. Had a serious issue with each rod and it really ate up my daylight. Now I'm back at full steam here. And there we go. Another pumpkin seed. Interesting. And depending on the day, you'll get more pumpkin seeds or more bluegills. They move around a little bit differently. It's a dynamic fishery, and day to day they'll shift a little depending on their mood and other factors, weather and time of day, and you know, other things, even if they're in one general area the whole season. It's getting dark in such a weird way. This guy was playing with it a little bit, but I knew he was there. This big cloud's just making it like it's getting dark, and it's getting dark really quick, but you can see color, but it's all like really dark color. It's one of those strange twilights. Like it's different than typical twilight. There we go, another pumpkin seed. Today's pumpkin seed day. It's weird, it was almost all bluegills yesterday, or mostly bluegills. Probably like 3/4 bluegills. Even on a day-to-day basis, it can change real fast. So I say all the time, and it holds true. See this rod going off next to me? First doubleheader of the evening. Usually twilight will pick up numbers or the size. You know, numbers or size will pick up, one or the other. They'll just get triggered by that little change in timing, a more aggressive bite. Turn the lights on here. It's getting dark in like such an awkward way. That's a bluegill. Sweet. Got this guy in the bubble rig. Reel that guy in a moment. Another solid bluegill. Still just letting them all go, but that's a decent eater, you know. 8 1/4. Man. It's annoying, but I should have saw it coming. Dealing with that other fish, well, this guy was bending the rod over a little bit, and a lot of times if you just give them a little too much time, they'll glide left and right until they find some structure and they'll snag up. So this guy's caught in some junk. This guy from the double header here. It's got this guy in the bottom rig. Man. Yeah. Hopefully he's at least in there. Definitely caught up in like a stick or something. A lot of times the beavers just drop stuff in the middle of the water. It gets really annoying. Because this happens too often. Hopefully he's at least still on there. Once in a while they'll get caught up and then they'll pry themselves off. Especially other types of fish, but I've seen it happen with sunfish too. Yeah, he's on there. Cool. Thanks, buddy. I gotta keep that of this other stick that I dragged up yesterday. Looks like a solid gill. That's a nice gill. That's what I'm talking about. That's a quality gill right there. Wow. That's a twilight gill. Real nice looking gill. Get a quick measurement on him. He's probably like 9 1/2 or so. Real quality gill here. Hold him up if I could get him untangled. Yeah, that's a real nice looking gill. I knew he'd be a little better because he was bending the rod pretty good. There he is. There we go. Cast it back in. Another hit right away. That's the difference twilight makes. It just turns on an aggressive bite most of the time. Not always, but I've seen it a lot. I used to do a ton of bluegill fishing, and I hammered them pretty good this year. Probably caught more than 1,000. Man. That one's getting a bite too. Double headers left and right. Bluegill was, I measured him quick. He was with mouth closed around 9 3/4. Might have been between 9.5 and 9 3/4. Right around there. Another pumpkin seed.